part of that day to day is like the board wants an update on our AI. We're applying AI, right? Or or the management team. I mean, they're using AI, they're applying AI. So where do you see folks you spoke to, or where, or in your consultancy, where are folks on that spectrum? Are there particular legs? Are there particularly early warning indicators to see where we think this is going?
Mm,
Because it's I think it's clear things are going to change a lot and it's going to be different in a
hmm.
while. So, what can we start to wrap our arms around, or where are the places to watch, do you think?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of specific examples, and it's going to come out of a marketing office because that's where I just came from. A couple
Yeah.
of things that struck me. One is a company that they are fairly new, and they're creating an agent, and the agent can you can deploy to go do low level Marketo work, list
Hmm.
loads, different things. But you can it's reason based. And most of the stuff that we do in marketing ops traditionally is it's still today is dominant. It's pretty much rules based. And what's happened is that there's so much complexity that the rules based model has completely fallen down, as John Miller will tell you. So, given that, it's like this company has built an agent with a name, Mary, and you can basically deploy Mary to go do these tasks. What interested me is they're new, but I thought that the MOPS world would have heard about this stuff by now. And I would just kind of litmus test. I'd be like, have you heard of these guys? Have you heard about Mary? The
Yeah.
people I asked, only one had known about it, and they're actually using it. So I tell you about that one because you can look at you can look at AI solutions or ways to augment your marketing operations in a more of a traditional way, or you can look at what these guys are doing, which is a groundbreaking, revolutionary way. I'm going to
Hmm.
go walk away from the rules system. It's going to be all reason based. I'm going to take an existing platform. I'm going to take all the stuff about it you don't like, that you hate doing, and I'm going to make it hard for you to say no. That you can now use this my Mary to go do
Yeah.
it. So that caught my attention. That was an interesting one. The other thing that was really blew my mind, which harkened back to like early days of tech, this guy had a presentation where he started talking about, and I heard this from other people, where people are making their own agents to solve problems now.
Yeah.
And this one particular presentation got into talking about a layer like a server that would solve the problem of providing more context from your data to make prompting more effective. So you can now plug into your own data sets, whatever that might be. It could be you're plugging into Marketo, could be all kinds of things. And so what blew my mind was this guy basically was going through and showing everybody step by step what he did, how he used technology to go build his own agent. Now, it's very geeky. And the first thing I thought about, I'm like, I kind of understand what you're showing me, but is this a good use of time? I don't know. Is interesting. He was able to make an his own agent that he could go throw at analytics and he could ask it questions and it would answer him. I thought what was interesting about that is that the technology and the tools are there or almost there to where anybody can go build these things on their own. That is a
Right.
game changer because what you can wait around for companies to build them and then you can buy them and deploy them. Or maybe it's getting there so fast that like, why? I can just go build my own.
Yeah. Maybe you vibe code your own with a platform and the tools. The thing that's interesting about the advent of agentic AI, particularly for MOPS is, so, like you say, it's such a rules based. Traditionally it's been rules based, and it's been rules based because there's so many rules, because there's so many things you need to check, and there's so many, whether it's confirming the address, or managing the spam notifications, cleaning up your data. It's so much about getting the data clean, getting it in, and then applying the
Hmm.
rules. And of course, AI can hallucinate, right? And so, what I've seen in some of the early applications of more agentic technologies, particularly around MOPS, is you can't really trust it enough to not be also standing over it, and then correcting it some of the time. And at some point, it's like, well, what am I? It's definitely, it's a bet forward, right? But in the immediate term, it's like this is taking as long or not longer to get things done. I don't know if anybody spoke to you about that, or the problem of hallucinations, or the problem of quality control in ruling, not just from someone using AI tools, but putting the operations in the hands, or part of the operations in the hands of agents.
It's a good point. I think a couple of things. Yes, absolutely. You can't just like do this stuff and run it unchecked. In fact, the guy doing that presentation on build your own agent, the last thing he put up was a slide, which is like, however, be warned, right? All that good stuff. There's always a caveat.
The
But think of a
disclaimer.
couple of things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he made a point to put up there. But think about this. So yes, take the example of what these guys are doing with the agent to deploy. I asked, the obvious questions like, well, I'm a little nervous about, wouldn't anybody be nervous about just putting this thing into the wild?
Hmm.
And the answer was like, well, yeah, but it's all built so that there's a period in which you do have a lot more control over it. And yes, that's going to take some time. But the main point that they're making is like, but over time, you do begin to, you understand it and trust it, and it gets better. It gets better
Yeah.
over time, which is the main thing. And so that's one side of the coin. And more when I think about this stuff, the other side of the coin is, can you afford not to try this stuff?
Right.
Think about it. So, give you an example. If you got a company, and this is true of some of the clients that I work with, their security software offerings, and so their companies are very careful about what technology makes its way into their company, and behind the wall. And so they vet everything to the best of their ability. Um, and yet, you have to ask the question. It's like, let's suppose there's some breakthrough piece of technology that comes out that the risk is very low in terms of security breach. So you have to make that decision as a company. It's like, well, should I take that risk in order to have that advantage, right? To learn and move faster in the market, or whatever that advantage is giving you? Or do I say no, and then I prohibit or prevent my company from capitalizing on this thing? It's moving so fast to me. You have to really scrutinize that question. Should I take the risk of this new technology to try to reap the benefit? Because if I don't, my competitor will. So the whole question of risk reward takes on a different meaning because it's moving so fast, and the leverage you gain can be so significant that if you just sit there and sit on the sidelines,